earned my trust.
Technology sucks. Although being able to talk on the internet is kind of neat.
Pretty great, actually.
It's pretty neat, yeah. And being able to listen to other people talk on the internet and put together stupid little things and share it with each other. I really like the internet sometimes. I just
Yep.
hate some of the people on it.
Yep. I mean, but those are like the same is true of the real world.
Oh yeah, like
People
I
in
like a
general.
few people I work with, but I hate a lot of people I work with too.
Yeah.
It's just life.
Yep.
Stretch here. Oh yeah.
It's just a series of nesting Russian dolls. It goes life, the internet, then Reddit.
Fucking Reddit. Reddit's just kind of like the conglomeration of terrible people. It's well, not necessarily terrible people. What I don't like about it though is that with the upvoting system, you can form like lynch mobs really easily
Mm-hmm.
because the like crazy people get recognized easier than people with sense.
Yep. And there's like it's searching in Reddit is it's a nightmare.
Yeah, it is. Recently, Tumblr kind of changed their like system of blogging and commenting and stuff, and it's kind of a nightmare to read too.
Mm,
It used to kind of be how Reddit is with like the nested comments and like the little lines,
mm-hmm.
and now it's just there, like it's just all right under one another. So it's really stupid looking, honestly.
Mm,
Tumblr's always been kind of a mess, though. If we're just gonna be completely honest, like it's
yeah.
just a mess. That's what it is.
Life is a mess.
Like there's a post that was on my wall that somebody reblogged or whatever, and it's basically just like two gifs that say revolver and then ocelot, like showing his face and like spinning or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
just like repeated like 20 times, and it's really fucking irritating because you're just scrolling for like a minute through it of the same image over and over. But then on the other hand, there's this blog called The Same Picture of Michael Fishman Every Day.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Fishman, for people who might not know, is DJ the kid, the boy kid in Roseanne, and it's literally every day posting the same picture. So I was just like, I'm actually interested in this. So I went to that blog and I was going through, and sure enough, it's like there are reblogged photos randomly on certain days. Like certain days get more reblogs than others, even though it's literally the same thing every time. And
That's great.
I went down this rabbit hole where I'm like, there must be a different fucking picture on here, or they must have said something like "lol, thanks" or something. Like there has to be something other than this fucking picture. And I
Mm-hmm.
scrolled through it for half an hour. No, there isn't. I went down a dark, dark rabbit hole looking for something different, but that is literally all that account is, and I was kind of excited that it was.
It's pretty special.
I was hoping to be wrong, and I'm so glad I was. There wasn't anything else.
God. The closest thing to that, there's a Tumblr of like people just redrawing the same one image of Kaiba from season 0 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Looking through a window in the rain.
Nice.
I think it's like it's raining Kaiba,
I
but
wanted
that's
to
at
make
least
a
people
Tumblr
redrawing
blog
stuff.
called Beards and Boobs and just like post pictures of cleavage and dudes' beards. That is all that is. Unfortunately, there is something similar, so I didn't do it.
Mm.
But it's like male models.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like what I was saying. It's just like
Uh,
male models, basically. It's stupid.
mm. Tumblr's weird.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a weird one for sure. Welcome to the Brooding Barrel podcast. That's a good
Welcome.
that's a good
Hooray.
enough intro, I think.
Sure. Things are weird.
Things are weird. It's been a busy last 2 weeks for me. This fucking covering shifts thing is for
Hmm.
the birds, man. It sucks. Because you get into a routine. It's just like, okay, I know every week I'm going to be working Monday to Thursday from this time to this time. And then, like, after that, I can plan around that. And then for 2 weeks, it's like, no, now you're working Saturday to Wednesday. So all the plans you made with people that you do on Saturday and Sunday for stuff are gone. Thursday is now weirdly open completely, and Friday doesn't change.
Weird.
Yeah, so it felt like losing 2 days because even though like you only lose one day doing that, and then you basically move like your Saturday to Thursday or whatever,
Hmm.
nobody is around on a Thursday to do stuff. Like people are working or at school,
Hmm.
which really confuses me when I see that like a video game say, let's just pick a random one here and call it the Phantom Pain comes out,
Uh-huh.
and somehow somebody already has 100 hours in it after a week. Just like if you have 100 hours in it and you're not around on a Thursday, how much do you play in one day since this came out? Like, but I don't know. It's a weird thing to like switch your days around and see who's available and realize like no one is.
Mm.
That's where I've been though. That's kind of why the show went on hiatus for a bit and I'm still backed up. But it's fine. We're here. We're back. We
We're
did it.
here. Hooray!
We have so much to
Hooray.
talk about.
There's a lot.
Okay,
A
you know
lot
what?
happened.
There isn't a lot, but big stuff to talk about.
Yeah,
That's
that's
the
true.
difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. We should just talk about Phantom Pain, I guess.
Yeah. Phantom Pain happened. Played a lot of it, but
I
not
fi-
all of it.
I finally sat down and played a lot of it last night. Actually, I played about 8 hours of it straight, and I felt good about that. Except like I said on Twitter, and some people I think got pissy about it. Maybe it's hard to tell in just text, but I don't care either way.
Uh-huh.
Only about 3 hours of it was fun, what I would
Hmm.
classify as fun. The rest of it is the type of thing you would do in an MMO almost, just grinding out side stuff to like be able to progress better. So
Hmm.
to give you an idea of where I was, I've been putting off the quiet fight. Oh, by the way, some spoilers, but if you're not further than me at this point when we're talking about it, you don't care enough. So I don't fucking care because I think I'm like the one person who loves this series with my whole heart that is like not done basically.
Hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah. I like was at the quiet fight and then I was just like this is fucking bullshit because I still had a bunch of side stuff to do. I was like, okay, I've been doing a lot of the side missions. I'm just going to keep going with the story stuff. Oh, great. Now I should do more side missions so I can finally unlock that fucking sniper rifle that I want, the tranquilizing one. So I did that. I spent like half an hour just moving dudes around to just like push for that little bit extra in each in R&D and in medicine to be able
Yeah.
to get it because I was
Yeah.
like at
Fiddling
13
stuff.
and 14 and I was
Yeah.
just like, oh, that's so fucking irritating. So just like really pushing, throwing guys that are like with any E stuff that I care about, just like dismissing them completely. Going around to bases and looking at every dude and just seeing like who has higher than a C that I could steal and move them into another position so I could get another dude that was in that like for example.
Yeah, I just dump all those useless dudes in waiting room because their waiting room can be huge.
Yeah. What I ended up doing was kind of like, say, like a dude in Intel has like a C for, like B for, like R&D and like an A for Intel or something.
Yeah.
Like, I will move him over, but then I want to fill that spot again, so I'll look for a dude that is equivalent in Intel, maybe at a B or a C, and so on. So
Oh man.
I spent a while doing that. I spent half an hour just in the menu, like organizing people. Finally got what
Yeah.
I wanted, trained up in a whole bunch of shit, like did a lot of the research development stuff. And Did the quiet fight. The quiet fight is like the easiest sniper fight I think I've had in Metal Gear game ever. Like, it is super easy because you see where she runs due to like dark clouds and shit.
Do you
But
know that there's a hilarious trick to make it even easier,
okay.
where you just drop supply drops on where she is?
Does that actually work though?
Yeah, two of them. Once they fall on her, her stamina's drained. She's done.
That's stupid. What a
It's
dumb.
really dumb.
That's really dumb, but I like
I
that.
yeah.
Boy, that's fucking dumb. Um okay. Another dumb thing in the quiet fight when that I found is that did she ever go into the river for you?
No, because like the fight was super quick.
Oh, you did it that way?
I did it that way.
Okay, so she like I shot her, she did her running thing, shot her again, and then like I ran out of the way. Like basically the way you do this fight is like how you would suspect you would do a normal sniper fight is you take a shot and then when she's kind of like reevaluating her positioning, you're doing the exact same thing and keeping an eye on where she's going at the same time because she doesn't seem to follow you very well while she's doing it, which I guess makes sense because if you're fucking bolting at like the speed of light, it's probably a little bit hard to like keep your eyes trained on some rock formation that a dude might be behind. But at one point she like goes in the river and I was just like watching her and she was doing like this like sexy dance in the water and there was a rainbow that popped up behind her. I'm like, this is Hideo Kojima game 100%. Like, it's the stupidest fucking thing. I wish I had taken a screenshot of it, but instead I took a shot at her. So that was kind of weird, but not out of character at all. That fight, like I said, stupid easy. The other sniper fights in the series have been kind of difficult. That one, not at all. There's no problem with it.
Have you gotten to the point where they explain why she's dressed the way she is?
I mean,
So they do later.
yeah, we won't get into that though. In case,
Okay.
I guess, in case, because like Chill in the chat said that he just doesn't have money, but he wants it. So I'm gonna try to be a little bit more generous on like spoiling story stuff,
Yeah.
except for the weird Metal Gear thing. Anyway, but whatever. What were you gonna say about how she's dressed?
I was just gonna say it's dumb.
Yeah.
The part that's frustrating, it sort of builds into like one of the big frustrations with this game is that later on you can unlock like clothing to put her in so she's like appropriately dressed cool, but like where I'm in the game, I can't even see that in the skill tree. All I can see is the ability to cover her in fake blood, make her entirely silver, and then make her entirely gold. But eventually, apparently, you can like unlock her later to give her clothes. It's just stupid that like that's a super late game unlock to put her in clothes. Like, why isn't that an upfront thing you can do if you want to?
Honestly, it sounds like they like I know Japan doesn't fucking care about what anybody says on the internet about their shit, but like with this whole debacle of like why she dressed like that and stuff, why wouldn't you just make the outfit that she's dressed in now like an alternative one you can unlock later, like every other video game does?
Exactly. And most of the complaints I've seen about this are like exactly that. It's like you can like going like with Snake you can unlock that he doesn't wear a shirt or something. With Quiet you have to unlock to put her in a shirt.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean it's kind of weird, but at the
Yeah.
same time, I don't care. I spent like an hour in Metal Gear Solid 2 looking at Raiden's ass as he flipped around. So like it's one of those things that in Metal Gear there's going to be naked people and it isn't even necessarily sexualized so much as it's a silly Japanese thing cuz like it's kind of like anime too, right? Like the silly like fan servicey type anime will make fun of like girls with big boobs and they'll make like weird sounds when they jiggle and stuff. Like it's kind of almost more of a humorous comedy thing, like with a little bit of sexual undertone instead of a straight up like, oh, you want to fuck her, don't you? And that I never got that feeling in this at all.
Hmm.
from
Like the
fight.
the frustrating stuff is like they waste your time explaining it in a way that's like, okay, if you wanted to hold to this explanation, she should be wearing less clothes. Like, why is she wearing as much as she is? If that's the case.
My favorite thing about her is her tune she hums when she's like invisible when you're fighting her and like later on and stuff. I don't
Hmm.
know. I just think that's really creepy and I love it. Like it's the classic Kojima thing of kind of a silly situation with like a dumb like supernatural thing, but there's a little
Yeah.
bit of creepiness and sadness there too.
Hmm.
Like that's all Metal Gear Solid 4 was. The enemies were like the saddest fucking people ever. They were the saddest, like, if you know their backstory, it was fucking depressing, but
Hmm.
it was still ridiculous. like, like Laughing Octopus has, like, one of the most horrific backstories I've ever heard of for a villain, but when you're doing that fight, it's stupid because of the laughing. Like, it's just silly. I don't know. He has a style where he's very good at mixing very dark, serious, real worldy issues with just ridiculous supernatural bullshit, and I love it.
Hmm.
That still holds true to this. My problem is, like I said before, I played about 8 hours. I got 3 hours maybe of content I really, really dug my teeth into and loved, and the rest of it was grindy bullshit that I hate in every video game. So I'm giving it more of a pass in this game because I want to like it so much, and there's my bias talking in it about it. But like, it's kind of why I stopped playing Mad Max because I'm at the point where I have to do all these side missions, and it's just like I already have one game I'm giving the pass to do all this side stuff for. Sorry, Mad
Hmm.
Max, you lost out. Unfortunately, you were released at the same time that Metal Gear was out, and I have like 20 years of history with this thing and none with you.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. The thing with this game is like none of this, very little of the silliness is in any of the story stuff. Like any the story stuff you're getting is like super serious for the most part, but like all the silliness is hidden in weird gameplay stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's so many weird little quirks in mechanical stuff in here. So you have to like, which is when you're playing the game, which is why I like it. Like I like
I just keep
how much
playing it
stuff
to
there
see
is.
how much unlocks because it's like every time you do a mission, you get a new mechanic, and it's just like there has to be an ending point to this, right? And there's really kind of not so far.
No, there's stuff I haven't even. I'm like 30 hours in, and I haven't even seen the like online stuff that unlocks later.
Yeah, no, I know.
Freaking forwarding operating base. Like I'm probably pretty close to touching it because I think the mission I'm on is sort of a tutorial for setting for that stuff, but I'm on like mission 20 something. Like I'm deep in this game, and there's still a ton of shit.
It I don't. I like how it's paced, but I think it can start you off with more. Like say all the mechanics you get from like I don't know, mission 1 to mission 10 maybe. You could probably start off with like it might be able to you might be able to be like they might be able to assume you're a smart gamer and like here's the base building stuff you can just like start building instead of like now you get this area, now you get this area. Like it's very slow what for the base building stuff at the beginning, and
Yeah.
that's annoying because it's like, well, there's this one thing I want, but I'm gonna have to wait through about 3 more missions for this area to unlock so I can upgrade it and then I could get it. Like I didn't like
Hmm.
that sort of thing. The very free to play mobile type model where you like the more you it's different. It's not a free to play model because in that it's the more you pay the more you get to play. In this it's the more you play the more you get to play, so it's kind of a weirder, it's taking your time as the currency
Yeah.
instead of real money. It's kind of
Well,
weird.
apparently with the forwarding base of operations stuff later, it starts to get into free to play territory with the way that works. But I haven't really gotten
But
to
at
that
that
yet.
point you've already played so much it
You've
doesn't
like
really matter.
beaten the game for the first. You've seen the credits, and then there's like the rest of the game because it's a Hideo Kojima game. So of course there's like a second game.
Yeah, no, of course.
But Yeah, the thing I really wish unlocked faster was is the Fultoning stuff. Because
Yeah.
once you can just Fulton everything, it makes you can like everything goes faster because then you're just grabbing everything. Because that's what I like doing. It's like going into a mission and knocking everyone out and stealing all, tying them all to balloons and laughing.
So, okay, this is kind of like I was going to ask you this, but I kind of wanted to save it until we did this actual talk about it. My favorite thing to do for stealth missions is to literally knock everybody out in an area, put them in a giant pile, and then Fulton them all one after another. So there's just like 20 balloons going up all at the same time, roughly.
That's pretty great.
Just like one after another, like, wah, 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 over and
Hmm.
over. It's so good. And like then after that, it's not stealth anymore. There's literally no one to see you, so you're just walking around the base like picking shit up. That's why it takes so long. Like one mission can take you like 3 hours if you wanted to, if it's a big enough area, because you can steal everybody and walk around freely and just pick up everything. And it's
Yeah,
hilarious. It's really stupid. Because
really
even when you
great.
run out of Fulton devices, you just order more in and you're back on. Like it's not an issue at all.
Yeah. My favorite thing that happened to me was so I was doing a mission that involved the skulls, and
I actually hate
I
the skulls, but go
I
on.
got so I somehow I was gonna try and run up and default in this truck like before they popped out, so I could just leave. But somehow the game and I screwed it up. But somehow the game auto saved me to where I was directly in front of that truck, so I was immediately spotted when I loaded into my checkpoint.
I had this problem with the tank.
Yeah, I was like right in front of a tank, and the tank would. I was so close it wouldn't spawn in till I had sort of run away. So actually, I did have just enough time. If I ran away, I could go back into stealth. But somehow, of trying this mission over and over again, I managed to pop the skulls so that they were out, but they didn't see me once they were noticed. They would
Huh?
just like they didn't go into their combat mode. I was still stealth. They were just sort of where they would spawn, but like not attacking, just sort of shuffling. But they were sort of shuffling towards me for some reason. So I like
Okay.
walked around, guided them very slowly away from the truck I needed, and eventually like faulted the truck without them ever having like attacked me, and I got away. Like that was amazing. I don't know how it happened, and it seemed kind of broken, but it was cool.
If there's one thing that's actually broken about this game, it is the checkpointing and how the world interacts when you reload a checkpoint. Like it's
Hmm.
really fucking broken sometimes. Like you were saying, like there was excuse me. There's one mission where you have to like get a dude from a convoy. There's like a tank, a truck with two dudes in it, then another tank behind it, and you're supposed to destroy the tanks or whatever as well.
Hmm.
So I destroyed, like, I set up a shitload of C4 just all along the road because I had done this mission before. Like, I reloaded. I was like, okay, we're going to do this smarter. Set up a whole shitload of C4 everywhere down this road. Blow up one tank with grenades because I snuck up on the truck, like, grab the two dudes or whatever. And then the other tank is chasing me, and it gets me before I am able to get back to the road where the C4 is. I reload and I'm literally right in front of the tank and it runs over me. And it's like I was actually furious at the time. Talking
Uh-huh.
about it now, it's silly and hilarious, but
Yeah.
it's one of those things that in the moment you've been at it for like an hour and you're just like, come the fuck on. Now I have to start back over here with like the
Yep.
tanks not destroyed. So when I went back into it, I was just like, fuck this, and just like blew them up with a missile. I was so pissed.
Yeah, that's my like standard loadout is trank pistol, machine gun with rubber bullets, and a rocket launcher in case shit gets real.
Yeah. Talking about the skulls though, I hate them. I think I don't like that thing, that implementation at all,
Uh-huh.
because it breaks too much from the other gameplay stuff. Like being really slow and methodical through a bunch of Russian guys, and then being thrown into like a cutscene, and then when you're out of the cutscene, you're being chased by like five things, or they're like all around you. I hate
Yeah.
that. I think that just breaks everything I like about the game, and it forces you to do it, and that's really irritating. I
Hmm.
really don't like it at all. I think they're broken, just pieces of garbage, but
Yeah. I
they're
mean, I've
cool looking, I guess.
yeah. I mean, I've the two real fights I've had with them. I've kind of that one story, and then the other one was it just worked out that like I was rocket launching them, and they all were. I did it like right away, and they went down really quickly, so I didn't really have an issue.
Hmm.
But I see your point.
Yeah, no, it's not really that much about being an issue. It's that
Yeah.
there's a certain way I want to play this game, and you let me this whole time until now, where you decided to pigeonhole me into this situation, which would be fine in the other Metal Gear games because they were linear and you were expecting that. Like in Metal Gear Solid 1, there's like basic you can play it like full stealth or whatever up to a certain point, and then you're stuck in an elevator with four dudes who are cloaked trying to kill you, so you have to
Mm,
take them out. But in that, it feels like kind of a set piece of that game because it's a linear progression and you're kind of forced into all of the story beats accordingly,
mhm.
whereas this is big open and they say do whatever you want except for right now, and I hate that. I hate being felt like I can do whatever and then being forced back a little bit and then let go again. Like, I like it all one way or all another way,
Mm.
which is why I hate open world games because they all do this. they all. The problem with open world games is that they all want to have a somewhat of a story in it. So there are parts in these games where there is a linear thing you have to do at least once or twice, but then they
Mhm.
let you do whatever. And I fucking hate that. And I'm so pissed that this game has the exact same thing. But of course it does because it's an open world game. Like, I'm not surprised by it. I'm just annoyed by it.
Mhm.
Luckily, it's not like every second mission. It is like a handful, maybe three that I've encountered at all this whole time.
Mhm.
So it's not bad, but it's still irritating. I think the skulls would be cool in like any other game. I think they're cool, like design, and them running fast and stuff is pretty cool, and pulling guns out of their hands. It's just with after the flow of spending an hour just like taking out 30 guys in one area and like putting
Yeah.
them to sleep and then being forced against like these godly things is fucking irritating.
Mhm. Yeah. That's. I don't have that issue with open world games. My issue with open world games is usually just
They're garbage.
yeah, like
Yeah.
the combat scenarios are always the fucking same. It's like there's
Yeah.
all this stuff, but it's all the same. It's the same thing over and over again. So what I love about this game is particularly with the main missions, like the way those scenarios are designed is always interesting and cool, and there's like some trick to it or some way to do it faster or whatever. Like they're just well designed little pieces of content,
Sure.
and it really feels like they made these really in depth, big open pieces and then stuck them all next to each other and said, okay, we'll also be an open world game. Because they could have done like just the focused mission structure of do this mission, then do that mission, but they decided to go open world with it and just sort of have those all next to each other and then give you a sandbox mode where you can run around in it too.
It's
Like that's
mm,
the way this feels as opposed to like something like Assassin's Creed where they make the map and then they just stuff shit in it everywhere.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It At the end of the day though, that game, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I usually hate open world games with a passion, and I'm making a lot of excuses for this game because of the pedigree behind it and because of my history and nostalgia with the series in general.
Hmm.
But like, that game just controls really well. It just does what it wants
Yes.
to. So it does. I said this before, and I'll say it 100 times, probably even more so when we're talking about Game of the Year stuff. It is the best game this year mechanically because everything it sets out to do, it does with such polish and finesse that it feels good when you're doing it. Like, they give you a mechanic and it just fucking works the whole time. every time. It's
Yep.
amazing, actually.
Yeah.
It's the
It's
best game
fucking incredible.
mechanically in years, I will even say. Not just this year, in fucking years. The last game that was perfect mechanically for what it wanted to do that I can think of, Super Meat Boy.
Hmm.
And
Because
that's a whole different thing though, because that is very constrained rules that just worked very well. And this is a very open rule set and they all work very well. So it's even more impressive.
I mean, this is like the first like AAA open world game I've played that I felt like lived up to the promise of like it's worth making a world this big because we've done all the little things to make it like fun to actually play it.
Yeah. It also helps too that in all the other games you hear about this legendary soldier and like these are his clone kids and stuff because he was the best soldier ever, big boss and all that stuff, right?
Hmm.
This is the actual game where you get to live out that fantasy, and because it works so well, it feels like you are the badass soldier. Like this, this is kind of like the Stomping Grounds thing, where like Snake Eater was the proof of concept of like his origin or whatever. This is like how he became a fucking legend because he would go onto a battlefield, steal the whole army, turn them against the world, and then take them, like take the world over. It's actually kind of amazing in that regard.
Yeah.
Like in the bigger story picture, it is probably the scale you had to do it. I'm still just sad that I don't have enough story beats to really keep me going just straight on. 8 hours was enough, whereas before I played all of Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater in one sitting, and it was like 24 hours, basically.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I play this game in bursts. I'll do a couple. I'll do
Yeah,
like a full mission, maybe a couple side things, mess around with my base stuff, and then take a break and do
yeah,
something else. Because
yeah.
I can't just sit there and like crank them out. It's just that that I don't like this game for.
You should have the best Fulton to begin with, too. I hate that that's locked away.
It's particularly annoying with like when you. Yeah, it's just it's frustrating. The thing is, the second tier isn't all that useful because Fultoning guns and vehicles, like it's not that important. It's the third tier where you can start Fultoning like the giant supply crates of resources. But I mean, like that's part of their stacked in their progression thing. If they don't want you to get that many world resources until you're getting to later unlocks that require more shit anyway.
It's really annoying though because like to
Yeah.
get that level, I think you need level 24 of R&D, one transportation, which I mean transportation itself doesn't unlock for a while too, and
Hmm.
like a bunch of other stuff. And when I did the mission where you first meet up with what they call a Metal Gear in this game,
Yeah.
like spoiler alert, there's more shit you have to worry about later. But the first time you meet up with it when you're grabbing the doctor guy because he's turning or whatever,
Yeah.
you're able to take one of his inventions, like a walker sort of thing, and I couldn't Fulton it because I didn't have that skill. And that's fucking irritating because I'm going to have to go back now and do that, even though it would have been so much cooler in the moment to know that when you take on this mission, maybe you should, like, maybe they should put a thing up, like, this is where you should be with, like, these basic things so you can really get the full enjoyment. And I'm sure there's something on the internet that says that, but it would have been nice to know when I'm, like, going into this mission, like, hey, you might want to be able to extract, like, vehicles.
Hmm. You don't need to fault in that
I
thing.
know, but I wanted to.
Yeah, yeah. That's the thing. Like the missions are also not built to for you to do everything in them the first time. They're built for you, particularly a lot of the early ones of stuff you can't quite do yet that then you can do later once you've unlocked more shit and you can just replay any mission at any time.
Right, but I don't want to replay missions.
Yeah, yeah. No,
That's
that's
the
totally
thing.
fair. But that's how they built this. They did build that into that game, which is frustrating.
Yeah, because some things to do to get like the perfect 5 or 6 like submissions within the big mission,
Yeah.
you don't even there's no fucking way you would even know like what they are
No,
for
like
some of them.
yeah, they tell you all of them after you've completed the mission once. But like the first time you're going in, you would have no fucking clue.
Like some of them you can guess when you see maybe say a few prisoners or somebody saying help me or whatever.
Yeah.
You're
Or
like,
like
oh,
if you're ever supposed to kill someone, it's definitely an extra mission to just fault on them instead.
oh yeah, like there's stuff like that where you're just like, I know this is what one of the mission objectives is. But like
Hmm.
one of them that I did a while back was like one of the mission like side objectives for that mission is to listen to the guards talk.
Oh yeah.
That like how the
The
fuck would I ever
conversation
know that?
stuff. Yeah. Particularly because like your score is highly dependent on like the amount of time you take to complete the mission. Like doing
Yeah.
stuff faster is like big for your score. So that
Yeah.
stuff's
I will say though they have been good in some missions. They do say like you might want the missile launcher for this one, or like
yes.
so there is a little bit of a thing there where they don't send you in completely blind if there's something there that you almost basically really do need. But a lot of the times I feel like they do send you in blind, which is probably fine because you're a dude going on missions. You don't know what the fuck's going on like until you get there. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I'm playing a video game. Like, let me be able to min-max a little bit here. Fuck. Let me be able to Fulton everything.
Like it's gonna help the way they've built it, it will help the longevity of this game as like this as being like the last Metal Gear game. People can play this fucking game for years. So
For
or
sure.
the last Hideo Kojima Metal Gear game at least.
Yeah.
Like
The
but,
last
like, in
Metal
the
Gear
moment of-
Solid, probably.
yeah. The last but the like for a game if you're like trying to play a game to finish it, like it's frustrating.
Yeah.
But there's fucking shit ton of stuff in this thing. This game is huge.
There seems to be a ratio of every 5 to 6 hours, there's about half an hour worth of story that's good. And keeps you going. Like, there's motivation in there, but, like, you have to go through some shit to do them. Also, the fucking target practicing stuff at the base.
Some of them are broken.
Some of them are broken, but
Some of them are super easy. Some of them are
but
fucking-
more importantly, it's bullshit that once I do it once, they keep lighting up every time I come because I have that like feeling in my head like I don't want these mission indicators on here. I need to do them. And they're so irritating. I can't remember which one it was. I think it's the support platform or one of the outer ones where you're basically going on like pipes and stuff. I hate that one. I fucking hate it because you have to run around that whole fucking area to get them. But like the medical one, every time I'm in that area, I will do every single time because it's free money. They're all in one area and you don't even have to move. You just have to aim.
Yeah, I've only done the ones that you basically don't have to move, and I only really did them a couple times, and it's like whatever.
But I mean, you've done them all at least once. Obviously.
I didn't do a couple of them at all.
Oh, really?
'Cause I just didn't care enough.
Okay, fair enough.
Ones where I'm like, I don't even know where these targets are.
I
Like
wanted
once I
that check
tried them
mark.
and I couldn't find them, I'm like, whatever.
I wanted that check mark.
I'm not that desperate for the check marks.
Also, you know what they're great for is that they're like, for me, they were the only reason why I would ever go to some of those like platforms, and they were a good way to look for treasure at the same time.
Fair enough.
So that's what I used it for. Like I would start it up, and then when I saw glistening, I'd be like, ooh, and just like put the shooting practice aside to pick up the diamonds and shit. It was good. Good time.
Yeah, I usually just if I want to find diamonds, I just interrogate someone, get them all on my map, and then
Yeah.
go get them. But now that I have like the thing where you can send your dudes off on missions, like whenever those dudes are doing a mission, I'm getting plenty of money, so I'm not worried about money right now.
Yeah.
Like I have not there are a shit ton of guns I could unlock, but I'm not gonna use any of those, so I don't really want to waste my resources on them for when my stuff gets to higher level and I unlock other shit.
Mm-hmm.
Because like there are tools, there are like ridiculous number of guns in this game. I don't want to use lethal stuff because if I kill someone, then I can't tie them to a balloon.
There was one like side mission or whatever, I was just like fuck this and just sniped everybody, and it was really fun. But then I reloaded and then just did it normally.
Mm. The
Yeah.
best now is I gave Quiet a sniper rifle that is non-lethal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then like once you've leveled her up, you can just tell her to shoot everyone. Like you say cover me and she'll just take out everyone in like a base. Like it makes side stuff trivial cuz you can just have her like missions and stuff, you don't want to do it cuz people will hear her and it'll put everyone on alert. But for side missions where you're just taking a small outpost or something, it makes stuff easy if you want it to be.
What's your favorite companion?
Depends what I'm doing.
The
Like
answer is dog.
the dog is so good because he scouts fucking everything.
Yeah. And he just runs around, and even like if the guards see him, they're just like, get out of here. Like they
Yeah.
don't do anything.
Hmm. But Quiet is kind of so good that I don't want to stop using her for missions. She's really useful.
Sure, useful quotation marks.
What? When I'm on a mission, I can't see her boobs. She's like off in a corner.
Or invisible. Or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or being incredibly loud while running.
Yeah,
She's
there is
really
that.
loud when she runs.
Kind of an ironic name.
Yes.
Anyways, that took up a lot of my time. There's something
Mhm.
else that took up a lot of my time, but why don't you go with something?
Okay. Let's talk about something simple. Something that I played like whatever. Like right after we recorded our last one was uh Crossy Road. Played the PacMan version that's built into it now. As it's basically just an ad for PacMan 256.
Uh huh.
So it's like you go into the character select screen and you go all the way to the right if you've updated the game, and there's Pac-Man there. You could play him for free, and it changes like the whole aesthetic becomes more like Pac-Man 256, and then it also changes the rules of the game, so where you're not being scored on how far you've gotten. Like there are pellets dropped out through the world. There'll be little strings of them that you have to go get, and that determines your score.
Do you like
And then
it
there,
better than 256?
I definitely like it better than 256 because it plays like Crossy Road
Yeah, okay.
instead of playing like 256, and I don't have to worry about like this power up free to play payment system thing, coin system. Like it's just I like it better. I just like the tap of Crossy Road so much more, but I do like the power pellet stuff and having the cars replaced by ghosts. That stuff was cool. That
Hmm.
was like as a thing to fiddle with for whatever those games are worth. That to me was like the best thing to come out of it.
3D Pac-Man is still the best horror game ever made. Tight
Okay.
corridors, man, with ghosts around the corner.
Ghosts.
You've also been playing Lara Croft Go.
I played some Lara Croft Go. I'm not that high on it.
Yeah, it's not that
Well,
good, honestly. It's okay, but
it's okay. I like Hitman Go a lot better. I
yeah, the
a
aesthetic
Lara
for it.
Croft and Lara Croft Go takes like fucking forever to get going. Like they're just not interesting puzzles up front at all.
No, there
Like
isn't.
it's just tedious.
And Hitman Go also gives you like a few levels of tutorial to really learn how to do the puzzles. And this one just throws you right the fuck in because it starts off so slow you don't need a tutorial.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's okay for a mobile game that you just like play while you're waiting like on the bus or train or something, but it's not great or anything.
No. Like there are a lot of people saying this is better than Hitman Go, and I think they're crazy.
They're wrong. They're just straight up wrong.
But this thing is it's fine. It's okay.
Yeah.
I don't particularly like that like it's instead of having like extra tasks to do on a mission, it's just like pixel hunting stuff of just like tap everywhere on your phone to find fucking things. Like I liked Hitman, I like the mission structure of like you do this level fast, you do this level to like you do the level once, you do the level to collect the thing, you do the level as fast as possible. Like I like that structure to it better. Or you do this
Sure.
level, you kill everyone. You do this level, you kill no one.
Yeah.
That stuff's better.
Get the briefcase.
Yep.
Yep.
There's no briefcase.
There's no briefcase. 3 out of 10.
3 out of 10. I'd give it 5 out
It's
of
a
10.
solid 6, I think.
6.
It's
Yeah,
not the worst.
6.
I think Hitman is a solid 7. Like I didn't particularly love Hitman Go either, but it's better just straight out. Maybe
Yeah.
an 8. As far as mobile games go, it's probably an 8. As far as
Yeah.
like all games go, it's probably a 3 or a 2. And this is
Whatever.
probably a 0.
Games. Yeah, I mean, if Hitman Go were on your PC, I wouldn't play it. But
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
it plays to the strengths of its platform. Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of it. Exactly.
I like having a little puzzle in my pocket.
Speaking
I
of
also
puzzles, Armello. Let's talk
I
Armello.
played Armello.
That game's great. That
That game
board
is
game.
It's really cool. It's a digital board game.
Yeah.
4-player thing.
I need to play it again though, because I played it once and I had a great time and then didn't again.
So I played it once against computer, and then I played it once just against random people online. I was like sort of doing. I did some tutorial stuff just to see what it was.
For anybody
like-
who might be confused and doesn't know what this game is, it is basically a game where you go around the quote unquote board or the level trying to get powered up to be able to take the kingdom, sort of thing. Because the king is dying and he's in the middle. So you're kind of adventuring to. Is there, like, I can't remember now. You can either gain his favor, and, like, with enough favor, you just become, like, renowned enough to become the next king or something, or you can take it by force. Is that right?
Yeah. So there are multiple ways you can win. You can A, kill him at any point. You can be. There are these like crystals. I forget what they're called, but there. If you get 4 of them, and they'll spawn throughout the map. Like you'll get quests where the reward could be one of them. You can find them in the dungeon type things, which are like basically a die roll to see what happens randomly. And if you get 4 of those and challenge him, I think you automatically win. If
Right.
the game, so there's the system of the rot,
Yeah.
and eventually the rot will kill him as his rot increases. And if you have the most like renown at that point, you automatically win.
Right. Like, the
There's
game
like
will
there's like an
end.
influence stats. Yeah, the game will just end
Yeah.
once he dies because he's like losing health steadily. But he has this thing called there's this system called the rot, which you can get through various means, usually by fighting these like rot crows that spawn. And when you fight them, you gain rot, or when you die, you gain a rot. And basically, with rot is in the daylight, you'll take 1 point of damage, but when you fight someone else with rot, if your rot number is higher than theirs, you like combat is based on like giving you dice. So for every number of rot they have, if your rot is higher, you get that many extra die rolls.
Yeah, you're
So
getting advantage.
Yeah, so you want to have no rot, or you want to have all of the rot, and
Yeah.
be able to take advantage of. You want to theoretically have more rot than the king, so that when you fight him, you'd have a shit ton extra die.
Or can't you just wait it out? Like, I think it takes a week, like 7 days or something like that, for the king to die. Doesn't he get weaker? So if you fight him on day 6 and you're not like the most renowned and stuff, it's in your best interest to go kill him. Otherwise, somebody else might win. Like, there's a few different strategies you can do.
Yes, and different. There's like eight characters or something, and they all have different. There's different things they're good at.
Yeah, I can't
Like-
remember who's good at
Like
what.
there's a lot of mechanics. There are all these cards. There are like equipment cards you can equip. That there's like gold system, and then there are like followers you can get that also help you in different ways. There's just a lot to it, but games are like an hour long. So it's a cool
if
thing.
that, I would say. They can go
Yeah.
shorter.
Yeah. You're right. The game I played was an hour, but that ended with just no one killing the king, so they could be a lot shorter.
So that was as long as you could go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. I like it because it's what I've wanted is like this sort of very mechanically complicated board game that has all these different mechanics working at the same time,
Yeah.
but on a computer so you can actually play it with people. theoretically.
Yeah, like as opposed to other games that are board games with a digital like release, this is just a digital release that's done like a board game, so it just plays better
Yeah.
in my opinion. It looks really really nice, like it's really nice looking. And I
Yes.
like that it employs strategy along like there are dice rolls and using cards to get more dice or like to kind of gain advantage and whatnot. But there's no there's so little RNG, I would say. Like you can still get screwed on some of your
Hmm.
dice rolls, but a lot of it is strategy as well. And
Yeah.
I think that makes the big difference. So it's not just like, oh, you rolled a 3 and this guy rolled a 5, you're fucked, sort of things. Like, well, I rolled a 3, but I also have these 2 cards I'm using as sun cards, so I'm actually at a 6 or something.
Hmm. And like you could
Yeah.
be a character who's going to go out and fight everyone, or you can be a character who's trying to win in a different way.
And there's a progression too. Like you the idea is you make your character stronger in whichever way you can and win doing that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So either by force or by uh, doing quote unquote quests to get more renown. So you just wait out the king's death and make sure nobody else
Mhm.
can take him out. Like there's a bunch of different ways you can play it, and I think it's really interesting. I just want more people to play it with because, like I was telling you before, you are the first person I've talked to that's even heard of this game. So
Yeah.
more people need to know about it and love it.
Yep. Because it seems cool, and I think it would be a lot of fun to play with like a group of friends.
Yeah, I agree. Like a group of 4, I think it would be
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
I think it would be. This seems like the type of game too that you could have if there was a board game version. You could have a good time in person, just like yelling at each other and stuff across the table.
Yeah.
So it's definitely one of the games you would want to play with friends. I think. I don't think you would want to play single player all the time.
No. Like it doesn't have that many playthroughs in it. A single player, I would say, like playing by yourself. Like it's interesting. It's fun. Like the way this thing would have any longevity is playing it with friends.
Yeah,
It's fun.
there. Like I think saying that too, we should also say there's no real single player like campaign thing. This is literally just like a board game. Like you pick it up and play. So
Yeah.
the single player experience is playing it with AI. It's not like doing a campaign or anything like
There's
that.
there's like a sort of structured thing, but that's basically just a tutorial.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's cool. It looks cool. It plays nicely, and if you have friends that are willing to shell it out the what is it, $20? Yeah,
Yeah.
about $20. You can buy an Armello 4 pack for the price of 3 though,
Hmm.
so that's not bad. Like if you have, you know what, I might do that and just hand out some copies. I'd like to play that again. I only played it once, but I loved what I played of it, so I would like to do more.
Uh, so I also played the last piece of Dragon Age DLC, Dragon Age Inquisition DLC, Trespasser,
Mm.
which sort of it it's a sort of separate thing where it takes place 2 years after the end of the game. So it does not well as the last two pieces of DLC were sort of they took place wherever you happen to be in the game. Like I think there's specific dialogue if you finished it, and I think you can play them if you haven't yet. This one is totally like we're putting everything you've gotten up to this point, and then you're going off into this. Although there's a way to like send equipment back through it. There's like these golden nugs you can sort of sync your game with the equipment you've got.
I
But
hear good things about this DLC. A lot of people like it.
yeah, it's good. The real thing about Inquisition as a whole is all the way they've kept their story, like much better understanding of what people like about this game than say the Mass Effect 3 ending, because it's all about how you're affecting these characters, like the long-term legacy of what you're doing is there, but a lot of it is like spending time with these characters, like what do people think of what you're doing. It's all focused on character stuff.
Okay.
It's not as this isn't like as silly and fun and fan servicey sort of thing as Citadel was. Citadel's sort of honestly my favorite thing of BioWare's that last piece of Mass Effect 3 DLC. I
It
just
was
fucking
really
love
good.
that thing.
That was the one that was basically just a party with everybody that you've like hung
Yeah,
out with in the games, right? That one?
yeah,
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 that was good.
yeah. So this isn't quite that, and there is a part of this that is where it's sequel baiting in that they are setting up for whenever the fuck they do the next Dragon Age. They've sort of set up what they want to do with that here, but you are getting a satisfying conclusion for the characters you've dealt with and your Inquisitor. Inquisitor's story sort of there's a reason why you're not going to be playing the Inquisitor in the next game. It was fun
Hmm,
and I liked it.
cool.
It's worth playing. If you finish that Inquisition, if you like Inquisition, this is definitely this is of the three. This is the one to play. I liked all of them. I think Jaws of Hakon is
The
it's
weakest?
like no, that one's the easy. That one's just like a whole extra zone. So that one's actually kind of the best. Whereas these are more like linear. Like this and the one that was the Descent are more sort of linearly structured and not as open. Like this like this is very much we're doing a set mission that's going through all these different places, then you're coming back to the Winter Palace, there's a little bit of conversation, and then you're just going on to the next part of it. It's much more structured, which is good and bad. Like it was cool exploring a whole new world in Jaws of Hakon. I like that DLC. This one, Jaws of Hakon, though, was light on character stuff. This is heavy on character stuff, and all that stuff is cool.
Cool.
The thing, like, the thing was, Inquisition had a very satisfactory character stuff with all your dudes in a way. Say Mass Effect 3 didn't at the very end. Like, it didn't have the way that story ended. Your characters weren't your companions weren't there with you, whereas it gave you enough like closure in the Inquisition DLC. So I wasn't craving that as much, but it was still cool to
It
get
was still
another
nice
like
to
one
get
less
it.
ride. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's still nice to get one less ride with these dudes,
Sure.
dudettes.
Girls can be
I
dudes.
I really like Inquisition. Inquisition, their content's been very consistent of just good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which is good because Dragon Age 2 was terrible.
yeah,
So it's a good thing that they found what works for them, what people expected and like from them, and
hmm
just keep going with it. That's good.
yep.
I hope they do more Dragon Age stuff. Like I know you were saying that the way Inquisition ends, you like because it leaves it open to like these are like the tales that can happen after or whatever.
Mm.
I hope they don't just keep doing DLC for Inquisition. I
No,
want
no,
like
they've said that this is the last piece of Inquisition DLC. They're what I heard in an interview is their studio's not sure if they're gonna go right to the next Dragon Age or make a different game. They're
oh
not
okay.
sure yet, but they're not. This is the last Dragon Age Inquisition DLC. Inquisition is done.
Well, I know they've been talking about a new IP. I don't know if that's like something I'm allowed to say, but
No, they
there's a new IP coming. They just don't know
yeah
anything really concrete about it yet. So
yeah they said that at like at two E3s ago, I think. They
yeah,
said we have a new IP. We're not going to tell you shit about it, and then they didn't say anything about it at this E3. So
yeah,
whatever.
fair enough. I think they've actually started working on it though, but they still are not saying anything about it. I'm curious. I want to see what they do, but yeah. Anyway,
Yeah,
because I mean, the thing BioWare does and has always done is rip off other people's ideas and make it really good.
it's like what Blizzard does.
It's exactly what Blizzard does, only with more story focus
Yep.
and more tabletop RPG background in the stuff they do, which is totally fine for me.
Well, Blizzard was more ripping off like Warhammer stuff.
No, Blizzard was straight up ripping off Warhammer
Yes.
stuff.
Yes, that was what Blizzard did.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's only because BioWare, when they started, they were contracted to do stuff for not Baldur's Gate. Baldur's Gate was a thing they did for Dungeons and Dragons stuff, just straight up.
Yeah. I mean,
Wizards of the Coast stuff.
in fucking the first the first of their Star Wars games, the old shows of the Old Republic. The way they explain abilities in that is with like D20s, like the menus and stuff. It's hilarious.
Yeah,
It's not video gamey at all.
no, they're deep into the tabletop, so that's why a new IP. Like, I hope they. I know, like, they won't because Hairbrain does, but like something to do with Cyberpunk and Shadowrun type stuff would be great. Because they've done the futuristic thing with Mass Effect. They've arguably overdone the fantasy setting with like Baldur's Gate, with Dragon Age, and with like everything they've fucking done. It would be nice to see them take on just a completely new setting. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
It's all
Oh.
conjecture because like we don't know. So
Yep.
let's talk about Mario Maker. Let's get this out of the way.
All right.
So fuck you. Did you see my notes on that spreadsheet?
Yeah, I watched the VOD too.
Oh, okay. But the notes on the spreadsheet are just like,
Yes.
fuck you, Homer. It's like, okay, seriously, fuck you. It's like, okay, that one was funny.
Yeah.
How much did you laugh when it was just like, oh, I'm going to make it, and then just like all this shit comes out? I was so angry at that.
I was laughing really hard.
I knew it. I fucking knew it. I was just like thinking, I'm gonna download this and edit it, just like to just put a giant wall between me and everything, and to like be able to crawl around.
So I will say, the way I set those up, the only way for me to test them and beat them was to fucking do it. I fucking beat those levels fair and square.
No, I know.
They're like the way I built them was I basically put shit there just because like fiddling, and then it's like I wonder if I could actually get through this, and then I could actually get through it. So I kept it. Like there wasn't any artistry to that, but it was. So I was just sort of doing stuff and then beating it and then feeling cool because I could beat this fucking garbage.
I mean, you could beat it knowing what was coming.
Well,
Because you built
But
the
it's-
level, at least you knew what to like the layout was.
yeah, but it's not that like a couple attempts and you know what's coming too, basically.
Until you get to a part where a new part. This is a problem I had with I can't remember who submitted it. Somebody submitted it. That one where you have to like do that jump, go through, and then like that thwomp comes down. Like that's an asshole move. That's just an asshole move. But like his thing kind of suffered from the same problem I had, which was like, okay, get past all that. I know this is here now, so go through it again, get past that. And then there's like another thing. It's just like a trial and error thing. And the problem I have with it is that with Super Meat Boy, you restart instantly because they expect you to die. And Mario, Nintendo are so far up Mario's ass with the stupid fucking animation and death music that it takes like 5 seconds between every try. And I fucking hate that. It irritates the shit out of me every time. At least they don't give you lives, though. That would be fucking terrible. It's like, do this on 3 lives.
I mean, Meat Boy did a little of that with the character challenge stuff, but
Yeah, they did.
yeah. No, I mean, the thing that I hope will happen is that people have to like the way the 100 Mario thing is structured. People have to fucking beat your level to like star it.
Yeah.
Like, and you don't unlock extra slots to upload more stuff unless people are starring your levels.
Sure.
So I feel like if there's bullshit out there, it's probably not the game's fault. It's probably people seeing that particular level because of some YouTuber.
Yeah,
And then
I
looking
agree.
it up. Like I feel like they've theoretically structured this game okay, but YouTube probably breaks it into getting some bullshit levels stored higher than they would normally.
Oh,
I
so
will
you
say.
submitted another level, asshole.
I made fair levels this time. Those are
Oh,
the
alright.
first one of them Ben and Peter played and really liked.
So, okay, this is another thing I wanted to get into, and this isn't harping on you necessarily because I've said my piece to you. Fuck you, and we're good.
It's fair enough.
No, this is for like kind of everybody.
Yeah.
There is too much of a boner going on in the community for just making hard Mario levels when what made Mario great, like the actual games before they started going kind of off the hills with like new Super Mario Brothers and shit, is that they've always had very solid level design that increased in difficulty and ramped up slowly over the span of 8 worlds or so. And Mario has never been good at platforming, but the levels have always been like keyed into some fun mechanics that Nintendo has created and to like really showcase that with a little bit of skill as well. Too many people are going this Meat Boy route or the I want to be the guy route and just putting like they're basically doing Kaizo Mario over and over because they saw like YouTube videos of it when they were younger and they think they're funny or something. And
It's easier. It's
there's
much easier than making a good level. Making a good level is harder. It takes more work.
It really does. And the thing is, I want to see people put in that amount of work.
Mhm.
There is a place for like the hardcore Mario people that like want really hard stuff and like unfair level stuff going on or like unfair endings to a level or shit that you have to do trial and error, and that's fine. But it seems like every second one on that service is that,
Uh,
and it's getting fucking old. It does like it makes me sad that there's not people out there or they're not being recognized that like actually want to make levels, like make some good level design. And instead they
mhm,
just want to fuck with people, and it's irritating because
mhm.
there's I don't know. It's kind of like it's funny it's one of those things where it's like the joke is funny the first maybe like 3 times you hear it and then it gets stale and old. It's like, oh, it's another
Yeah.
Spike level. All right, here we go.
Yeah. So there are a couple things I would say that I think encourage this like happening the way it has. A, like the way that the the stuff unlocking was structured. Like I didn't want to make a level that I was putting a lot of effort into until I had locked more shit.
Yeah, of course.
Like I wanted to make something that was challenging. Like I could bash my head again because I just got this thing and I wanted to like fucking feel something, like fucking punch me in the face, whatever. So that's what I wanted to do when I did. Now that I've unlocked stuff, I've sort of gotten over that. But the other
Yeah.
thing is with the ROM hack stuff, there was always the sprite limitation stuff.
Yeah.
So the novelty of putting a ton of shit in these games and it works is kind of a new thing that wasn't there with those ROM hacks where when you put too much shit in, everything would break.
Sure. I
So
mean,
that's
there's
there's
something to that.
novelty in that. Yeah.
There is novelty in this. I'm not blaming creators as much as I'm blaming every idiot on the internet upvoting these ones.
Yeah,
Honestly,
fair enough.
it's kind of, like it's the same problem I have with Reddit, where like
Mhm.
the popular opinion or like the mob mentality or something always get seen first, and then the people with actual substance get thrown under a bus because they don't have 100,000 people like saying, "Lol, I saw PewDiePie play this. This is great," sort of thing.
Mhm.
I hate upvoting systems. I think they're to a detriment to all online discussion and to like content creators in general, which is why I don't like the like system and stuff in YouTube, even though that doesn't really have anything to do with anything anymore statistically for them, which is nice at least. But
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know. Like I will say though, I'm just looking through the people that have submitted levels here. Out of 27 of them, there was only 4 that I didn't finish.
Mhm.
So like there's still people trying some like harder levels out, cuz I wouldn't say like I would say maybe out of these 5 or 6 of them I would consider quote unquote easy, but like the rest of them were like a harder difficulty of Mario level. And I think for the most part, the people submitting stuff to me, they're doing a pretty good job with it. Until I don't know about like some of these later ones that I haven't done yet, because that's when I started getting random people coming into the chat and submitting
Mhm.
stuff. But I think I like that there seems to be people that do want to try to make just like hard, decent levels and
Yeah.
not just unfair ones. But when I go to like the main whatever you call a course world or whatever, it seems like the only thing people care about are either stupid ones that like you just walk into the flag and win, or just like don't touch any spikes and there's spikes literally everywhere except for one platform and shit.
Mhm.
I don't know. It's a weird thing, and it's kind of showcases why I thought Little Big Planet died too. Is that
Yeah.
when you let people have control over stuff, they go too far with it in either way, and it gets ruined. But that's just me, maybe.
Yeah. The thing that so what I love about this thing is the part of playing old games that I actually have kind of gotten sick of is the part where they kind of suck. Like with sprite flickering and sprite limitation stuff, like the extent to which those games have flaws because of the hardware limitations of the time, I'm kind of sick of people recreating those in new games, and I like that Nintendo is taking those aesthetics, which I have a lot of fondness for, and bringing them into like a new game. I wish they had
Sure.
made more of their own levels that were cool.
Yes.
Honestly, I wish there was like a game in this thing, but I appreciate this thing exists and that there's like widescreen Super Mario World that is cool. Because like one of the things I wrote on Burning Barrel was like my thing where I overrated Nintendo games, and my number one on that was Super Mario World, strictly because I don't think the level design on the back half of that game is worthy of how many cool mechanics they put in that thing.
You're completely right. They actually start to falter off around the Force of Illusion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, my whole like the reason my favorite Super Mario game is 3 is because I fucking love those auto-scrolling cannons everywhere levels and fucking hell. Like the end of that game is fucking incredible, and then
Yeah.
Adrenaline High, whereas the end of World kind of sucks, particularly in comparison to 3.
Yeah. Yeah, oh no, like 3 is solid throughout the whole thing. The fact that
Yeah,
like they went with the formula of each world is kind of a new gimmick in that
yeah,
kept it fresh first of all, but then like the end is like, well, there's no gimmick. This is literally hell. So here is everything coming at you, but it's still solid design. Like there's
yeah.
enough room on platforms to account for Mario's momentum if you have to like do a running jump and then back up a little bit. There's enough time that like a cannon will appear on screen before shooting at you. There's enough time that like they know when you jump here, you'll see like the flamethrower next to you sort of thing, and you'll know what to do right away, and you'll have time to like they actually put that consideration in, and it makes me angry when people don't in
Yeah.
their own levels, and I understand why, because making those levels is literally a full-time job. I mean, Nintendo is still the best in the business at doing Mario levels, obviously, because they have like 1,000 years of practice in it, basically
Yeah.
worth of time between everybody that does them. But
Mhm.
and like I know it's ridiculous to expect that type of level from random internet Joe Bob guy 123, but at the same time, this is a very polished, nice feeling Mario thing, and I want that. And the fact that there's not enough people wanting to even try is what's infuriating.
Mhm. It's also cool. Like this is the first Mario game in a long fucking time that's not based around finding collectibles.
Yes.
Because that's the thing about like
Unless you
the
count
3D,
amiibos.
well, the 3D games and the new Super Mario Brothers series is finishing the level isn't like the design of those levels. The design of those levels is in finding the collectibles where they've hidden them in sort of clever places. Like that's where you see the strengths of those games. But I kind of miss just playing a fucking level that's like right to left, like Super
Yeah.
Mario World and the original Super Mario Brothers and Super Mario Bros. 3. Like that's cool that they made another one of those. I wish that's like my big frustration with the new series is that they're a different thing. They're designed differently. They're putting their efforts in making those levels in a different place other than guiding you through a thing. Like that part of it is not
Well,
interesting
they
in terms
let
of how they work it.
they let
And
level design go in the 3D series because, first of all, when they started doing 3D Mario, they didn't really have a good grasp on how to do a 3D environment. Then later
Mhm.
on, it was more about the gimmick of Galaxy, where like you're in a completely 3D environment, so the level design kind of suffered a little bit from there too.
Mhm.
But like the new Super Mario Brothers stuff suffers from good level design in that they're focusing more on what would be enough to have people go through when they're all playing together with four people. The last one that really did started to think about level design, I
Well,
feel,
also
was
the new
Mario
the new
World, 3D
yeah.
World. They did a pretty good job.
Yeah. The thing with 3D World and the new series is the really interesting design stuff that's in those levels is about finding the collectibles in those levels, like the star coins in the new
Right.
series, and I totally am blanking on the stuff you find in the 3D World games, like the green stars or whatever. Like finding that stuff is where they put like the levels become interesting for the most part. But yeah, like my favorite Mario games in recent years have been the the 3D series, like New Super Mario's done Land on 3DS and World on Wii U, because
Yeah.
they're like linearly structured in the way I like my Mario games, while also being that 3D thing where you can run around.
Yeah, like they don't focus too hard on the fact that it's a 3D environment, but just enough to make the level design a little more interesting with it. Like they finally realized how to do it, whereas I feel
Yes.
they didn't. Well, I feel like with Galaxy, they probably knew how to do it. They were just focusing more on the gimmick of the shitty Wii. But that's I hated like using the Wiimote for stuff. So, and the fact that like one of their whole things was pointed at the thing to collect stars. Fuck off. Just make good levels. That's all I come
Yeah.
to you for.
Hmm. Yeah. I'm not a fan of the Galaxy games. I've never. Those are.
No, I don't like them at all.
I haven't played very much of either of them because I just don't like them. Whereas I've fucking 100%ed 3D Land. I've almost 100%ed World co-op, but there are like a couple stars. It's like, if we could like bang our heads against getting the last things in this game, or we could do something else. And that game I totally played co-op with a buddy. So
I like that Konagami is basically saying like how people are trying to do collectibles in their levels is by doing the hidden one up blocks.
no one cares about one-ups.
Nobody
One-ups suck.
cares about one ups in that game. Like nobody has cared about one ups in a long time because those games give you too many in
Yeah.
general, like the
Yep.
actual Mario games. So
Hmm.
the fact that you don't even need them in Maker makes them completely useless. I don't even know why they're included, honestly.
Well, in the 100, in like their challenge modes, like the 100 Mario mode,
That's it though.
you start with lives and you can get a maximum of 3 per level.
Yeah.
And like when you get one ups for like any enemies that are on the screen when you hit the flagpole. So like if these levels are actually hard enough to make you lose a lot, you're gonna gain them anyway. Like it's not a
Sure.
thing. You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. It's pretty negligible either way.
Yep.
That but like okay, so as far as the playing side goes, it's all about the content people are making, and I don't think it's quite there yet. And I hope this isn't just I can't remember who was saying this. It was probably Tenmar, and I agree with him. I hope this isn't the Little Big Planet effect where like there's people doing some cool stuff for like a month, they don't get recognized because they're not popular, and then they move on to something else, and then the community dies. I don't know. Like
The thing is, Little Big Planet plays like ass.
it always has, yeah. That and they gave you too many things you could do in the creation mode, so people I think got overwhelmed. Whereas
Mhm.
everybody kind of knows how Mario games play, so it's kind of easy to know what type of blocks do what and how to do that sort of thing. Like it's kind of just ingrained in you.
Yeah. There's like a language to a Mario level design, and people right now are all having fun because they can do shit that you could never do before. But hopefully that'll wear off.
I hope that wears off, yeah, and I hope that there's still people doing cool things in like a year from now.
Mm.
And there probably will be because like a lot of 12-year-old kids and stuff, they only have a Wii U that they got for Christmas or whatnot, and they don't have another gaming device. So for them, this is like the biggest release ever. And I don't necessarily blame them. And if there's enough people like that, there probably will be content that gradually gets better over time. So I'm hoping
Mhm.
that stays true. But for right now, I don't think it's completely there. I've just been having fun with like seeing what other people have created. I don't really go much into the creation stuff myself, but that being said, that creation thing works really well.
I mean, it's really cool that like people can just make levels and then you can just play them on a stream. Like that interaction between like chat and streamers, it seems neat.
It still
As long as
shows
people aren't being the worst thing, be the worst people. But yeah,
it still shows how little Nintendo knows about anything internet related though when you need a 16-digit code to download a level and there isn't just like embedded like YouTube video making or any of that stuff. Like I was saying this before that Nintendo knows just enough about internet stuff to make people think that they're being cool,
mm,
but like they just don't give a fuck about community stuff at all. They could have pushed it so much further where it was like, great, you uploaded your first level. Would you like to share with your friends? And then push that to every single person on your friends list or whatever, or create a
mm.
lobby and do stuff together. Like it's one of these things that they're still in this we don't want everybody sharing everything thing, but you should be able to share everything in our game. Like they don't know what they want to do with it necessarily. So the best way to do this is give your friends a 16-digit code, and if they really like you, maybe they'll try it.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, that's just
The
Nintendo being Nintendo. That's nothing new. I'm just saying that's
yeah,
still them.
it. I the thing Nintendo does do that I like is they don't like. There's no region locked for like the levels people have made. You're playing levels from people all over the world, which is cool. That
Yeah.
like the first day it was out, like all the top rated levels were all Japanese levels and stuff, just because
Yeah.
they'd been in the level the
Yeah,
game
that there's
more.
no region locking. That would be fucking terrible
That
if
would
there
be
was.
awful. I've played. What was really weird was like I went on a run of playing normal, and every time it was a level created by someone in Germany, it was fucking awful and required you to make some tiny impossible jump
Yeah, what the fuck's with Europeans and wanting that shit?
because they like I don't know they like simulator games. They just want banal bullshit that's really annoying. I don't know.
God damn.
Stereotyping continents.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Wow. That got kind of dark.
Mm.
Because they like pain and suffering. Did you see what they did in World War II?
Wow. Wow.
What do you think if Hitler was alive and made Mario Maker levels? What type of levels do you think he would make? Because I bet they would be like these ones that are trying to be all artsy but suck.
They would be very structured and like everything would be in a line and like set up in rows.
The Koopa Troopas are all marching in
They
a
would all be
row.
red.
They'd all be red. Yeah.
They'll use red enemies. Just
God
be
damn it.
like rows of enemies.
Yeah. Anyways, so that game's out now. It's exactly what I wanted. Like I had said before, I said I was gonna get this game because I want to see what other people create, and that's exactly how I've been playing it, and I haven't really regretted any time with it doing it. So there you go.
It's a great thing.
Yeah, it is. That's kind of what I've been spending most of my time with. I've been doing that spreadsheet and like pulling the VOD videos and everything.
Hmm.
And I don't know if like anybody's even getting anything out of it or if I'm just driving myself crazy by doing it because just more levels keep piling up and it doesn't seem like I can keep up.
Yeah, I don't
For
know.
archiving purposes, I like it though.
Hmm. It's neat. I can't tell you if it's going to be worth like the amount of time it clearly has to take. I don't have answers for you.
At least I'm not doing it on YouTube though. I was going to, and that's
Yeah.
just like, but then there will be just a flood of like all
Hmm.
this shit on my channel. Fuck that. I'll just leave it on the Twitch highlights where it's all a fucking mess anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
But
yeah, I
but yeah,
wanted it so people could play the levels I've played, basically.
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
so it's worthwhile.
Did you do anything else?
So I at some point I was out of town and couldn't play Metal Gear Solid 5 and had gotten to a point in that game where there was plot stuff happening that I didn't understand because since I haven't played a lot of the games, a lot of what I know about the story has come through osmosis or secondhand,
Uh huh.
but that's mostly about the main series. So Peace Walker I knew like nothing about, and that's the one that kind of matters the most in terms of plot stuff in this game really. So I watched the Peace Walker the movie that a
Yeah.
person on YouTube has watched, and I didn't even watch the YouTube version. I watched the version that had Drew Scanlon and Dan Reichert talking over it. That's on Giant Bomb because they've played through the whole Metal Gear series this past year. Drew's playing it for the first time. Dan's played all
Yeah.
those games a ton of
The
times.
Metal Gear Scanlan things.
Yes. So I watched them watching Peace Walker the movie. Peace Walker like has no story and then it has all the story to set up Metal Gear 5. It's really
Yeah.
weird how it's like all of its story is like, "Hey, remember the big moment from 3 with the boss? Wasn't that awesome?"
It
Like
was.
over and over again they're just saying like, "Wasn't that awesome? Wasn't that?" It's like, "Yeah, it was awesome. You like I believe you. It's cool. Why you keep reminding me of this other game? Like why do
That's
you have
exactly
no
why
identity?"
I tell people they can skip that one because it was made to be like it was made for its platform to be a mobile game. You do a few missions or whatever you want to do for like the 15 to minute to half hour drive somewhere and then you put it
Mhm.
down. Like that's what that game is. So you can skip it if you actually care about story stuff.
Except that there is story stuff sort of that matters, but it's all like
Eh.
in the post credit stuff, basically.
The thing is in a YouTube world, you
Yeah.
don't need to play it though
No,
because all
no,
that stuff is a video.
yeah, you can watch that. Like, yeah, you're right. You don't need to play it as a video game for the story stuff, but it is like there is stuff in that video that I learned that I wouldn't have known.
Sure.
So I did that. That was okay. It's a thing to watch.
Yeah. If you want, there's also like the full playthroughs of other Metal Gear games with all the cutscenes and stuff, and like nobody talking. So it's
Yeah,
basically just like a 15-hour movie.
yeah. I do still at some point want to try and play through the main series, so that's why I haven't done that.
Are you gonna go with Twin Snakes or the first Metal Gear?
Twin Snakes because
Okay.
I've borrowed it from a friend.
Okay. That's probably the better way to go, anyways, because it actually has game mechanics that weren't possible when they made Solid. So
Hmm.
that's fine.
Yeah.
I really like Metal Gear Solid though, because of like the weird faces with no eyes and shit. It's really
Uh huh.
funny.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And I watched Show Me a Hero, which is HBO miniseries. It was 6 episodes. It was one of the writers was David Simon, who wrote and created The Wire. It's very similar to The Wire thematically.
And that's why you love it.
Well, that's not why I love it. I love it because it is good. It is good in similar ways, but I love it because it's really good television.
Speaking of
So,
really good television, no, go on.
so Show Me a Hero is based. This, unlike The Wire, was a lot of it is based on true stuff from David Simon's years as a reporter in for the Baltimore Sun, but it is a fictional story. Show Me a Hero is like true fiction. It is based on a real thing that happened. These are all real people and real thing that happened in the 80s in Yonkers, New York, where the court had ordered that Yonkers had to desegregate its low income housing because it was basically all set up in this one project. It was entirely poor black buildings where like there was crime and stuff, and there was this guy who had come in with a new idea for low-income housing that was based on no shared common space. So they wanted to split up all the low-income housing across the city, mostly into the other half, which was mostly middle-class white, and set up areas where people just had sort of these row houses and they had yards and there were no stairwells or common areas, which are the areas that drug dealers usually take up in. So the thing was, the court had ordered for this to happen, but the mostly white population of Yonkers was very upset about this. It was very angry.
Oh, good. Very
So,
angry white people. What could possibly go wrong?
yes. So, Yonkers theoretically, generally, it's mostly Democratic. So the election that matters is the Democratic primary. So for this year, the basically the the mayor at the time would was heavily under fire for basically doing what the court had ordered him to do. So he was like, "We're doing this thing. We have to, even though it's very unpopular." But there was an election, and the guy that ran against him was, uh, fuck, his name was, I forget his first name, but his last name was Wasisco, and Nick Wasisco, and he basically had voted with the mayor on every important issue, except he was in favor of carrying on the appeal in the court against of this case. Just saying, why not just continue the appeal? We have it. Even though the lawyers that they had were saying, you're not going to win. This is a no-go. He was in favor of that, so he basically ran on that. He ran for mayor, and he won based on that one issue. So the series is mostly about Nick Wasisco. He's played in this by Oscar Isaac. Really good
I don't know
actor.
who that is.
He was in Inside Llewyn Davis from last year. He was in Ex Machina this year and A Most Violent Year. He's a
You
really good
hate
actor.
Ex Machina.
I do hate Ex Machina. He was really good in it. He's not the reason I hate Ex Machina. I hate Ex Machina because of the writing. His performance was great though.
Oh,
He's
okay.
a very good actor. But so he's like, and he's like the big movie star headliner for this thing. But because it's a David Simon thing, it's focusing on a ton of characters. Like you're following a bunch of these black women who live in the projects, and it's sort of unclear why you're following them until you get later on, and that those are the people who ended up living in these houses. So it's really spanning, and it spans a lot of years in very short succession of these 6 like 1 hour episodes. Because once Wasisco, the thing is, once Wasisco ran on opposing this housing thing, but once he won, like basically immediately they had lost their appeal, and now they had actually no legal recourse to keep fighting it. So they had to implement this plan anyway, even though he had won entirely on opposing this. He now became in favor of it and supporting it, even as like the people are fucking yelling at them. And yeah, so like there are these scenes of like these where they're trying to get this thing passed, of people fucking yelling at them and like going crazy, and he's saying, "Who's for it? I." And then everyone else who theoretically rationally knows they have to support this thing has to vote against it because they're scared for their political careers. So he's sort of, eventually this thing gets passed. Eventually all this happens. But a lot of this story is he is sort of a hero for fighting this battle for this thing that was right and getting this housing desegregated in a way that worked. But he wasn't like a crusader for this. It wasn't like a thing he believed in. He fought for it because sort of it was the law and he was
So
into
it's like
it.
a political drama then?
It's yeah.
Oh, weird. Or like
But
a
it's
legal
very
drama?
it's sort of it's very much like it's like a David Simon thing where it's spanning so much, so it's just very human and feels real.
Oh, okay. Huh.
But a lot of it is based on these political machinations, particularly up front. On the latter half, it's a lot of like how once the thing basically happens, sort of by episode 2 or 3, and then they have to sort of deal with it. And then Wasisco like gets voted out of being mayor on this issue because people fucking hate it, and like how he dealt with that like political price he had to pay for fighting the right fight that he fought for various reasons. It's and the line is show me a hero. It's like half of a Fitzgerald quote that's show me a hero and I'll write you a tragedy. And sort of one of David Simon's thing is like there aren't it's not like there aren't heroes and villains in the real world. There's like they're complicated people and they have multi dimensions. So we're gonna sort of give it the breadth it needs to show you like
Like the whole story, the whole
scope.
picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like The Wire is there are a lot of characters in it, but it's mainly just about Baltimore, and sort of every season introduced a new aspect to it. That was how the way that show was structured, and this is very much sort of in the spirit of showing you this whole breadth of this event and the people it affected.
Okay.
It's really good. 6 hours of television, really good.
Cool.
If you have any way for anyone out there who has a way to watch HBO stuff, highly worth watching.
How many episodes is it?
6.
6. Okay. So it's kind of a short watch, honestly.
Yep.
Like, all things considered. It's not like a 50 episode thing.
Nope.
Or like a 500 episode thing, like I'm doing with Roseanne. Or 200 and something. 240 probably-ish. So I've been watching more Roseanne. I'm on season 6, and it's finally... Not finally. Season 4-ish till now, and continuing. It's starting to really get interesting when the kids are, like, more grown up and dealing with, like, teenager problems.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the sort of thing I like. I'm not so big on the, like them being out of work and trying to find jobs and stuff, even though I can kind of relate. Like, I can't relate because I have a job, but like I have lost a job before and needed to find work and stuff, and it's shitty. But I mean, everybody's been a teenager at some point, so they can relate to some of like the dumb bullshit that they do, and it's kind of infuriating. The problem I have with that show, and the thing I love about it, is that it feels too real.
Uh-huh.
Which, like, teenagers are annoying, and they are annoying in this show, but they have, like, reasons for why they're being this, what they think is important and stuff, and it feels very genuine. And, like, the reactions from the parents and, like, other people and whatnot, they seem very genuine, too. It's kind of one of those things that, like, I didn't get it growing up because I was just like, no, like, the parents are just complete assholes and stuff and blah, blah, blah. But there's more. It's kind of like what you were saying, how, like, the whole scope of things, like, the parents are going through shitty things right now. And then they also hear that, like, one of their kids got married to the boyfriend they didn't like and ran away. And now they have to deal with this, too, and, like, still kind of keep going somehow, and like they lost their job, and like it's actually really depressing, a lot of the shit, but done with good humor. So it's weird. I don't know, it's really hard to explain, but I think that series is probably still the most true to life sitcom I've ever seen on television, and that is, like I was saying, both annoying and good to me. Like, it's kind of like a true reflection of life, both those shitty things and the good things, and I kind of like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm still going through that. That's a lot of episodes.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, the last season isn't any good though, so
I've never seen it. I've actually never seen the last season. I've seen up to about season 7-ish. So, like, I'm kind of rewatching the things I've seen before.
Fair enough.
But yeah,
Also,
I hear the same thing.
I just fucking hate Tom Arnold, also.
Oh, yeah. But there's a point in that show where he kind of isn't around anymore.
Yeah. Yep, that happens.
And I started reading more about, like, the actual, like, Roseanne, like her. And she's fucking batshit crazy and a liar. Yeah. I don't, like, it doesn't have anything to do with the show quality, really, because that was back then. But, like, just knowing a little bit more about her as a person, I kind of hate her. She's a compulsive liar and, like, a psychopath. But whatever. I don't have to live with her or anything. I'm just watching the show she did. So I don't really care.
Yeah, I feel like a thing people don't do enough is separate people's work from who they were in whatever real life they had that you don't know about.
Sure.
Just appreciate the work if you like it or don't.
She's apparently going blind. She has really bad glaucoma, apparently,
Mm,
and is expected to go blind within the next 2 years.
that shit can be bad.
Yeah. In a way, it's kind of shitty, but at the same time, like, reading about some of the lies she said that, like, and ruin the lives she's kind of ruined with her lies and stuff, I'm kind of like, good. Like,
I'm just,
karma's a
I just,
bitch.
just have to be indifferent to it. I
Yeah.
just don't care.
Yeah. That's kind of it at the end of the day.
Yep.
That show's still
I
good,
mean,
though. So,
yeah,
whatever.
it's it's really weird for me when so you were watching it on Rabbit that one night. I was watching it too. For me, it was so fucking weird because like I was remembering all this stuff, but like from what time when I watched it, like, and I was younger than those kids, like
Oh, yeah.
it was really just it was kind of a trip for me. It's just in terms of like the nostalgia rush and stuff.
Like, generationally, for me, I think, 1 year older or younger than their youngest.
Hmm.
So a lot of this stuff didn't resonate for me when I was old enough to like watch it
Hmm.
at all. But yeah,
But the thing
rewatching
is
it now.
like it might not have resonated in the same way it would now, but I still like remember all those details.
Yeah,
So it's like I like instantly was having like knew what I would think about it now immediately, like before stuff was happening because I was remembering how episode was going.
yeah.
It was just weird.
There's some gem moments in that series too, like some classic things that happen.
Hmm.
Like the Halloween haunted house they set up is pretty great in their first season or season two maybe, I can't remember.
Hmm.
I mean, Becky running away with her boyfriend and getting married, that was like a pretty big thing back then. I don't know, there's a whole lot of weird moments. There's a lot of dark shit they deal with in a lot of their stuff too.
Yep.
There's a good amount of swearing too, which I didn't remember. Like for TV standards in the 90s
Yeah.
anyway.
It's like one of those things where it's sort of incredible, like the stuff that was sort of impressive at the time, like way it can be forgotten, and
Yeah.
people like
Like using the word
that
bitch regularly.
that like people it didn't change everything, so people forget that that happened, and then
Yeah.
would still like comment on a new thing doing it like it was new. It's just a weird thing that happens with like short-term memory of popular opinion.
Or the episode where they get their Super Nintendo. It's so good. Because they're talking about nonsense shit with Super Mario Brothers music playing.
Hmm.
Like the Mario World music is playing, the like do 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 sort of thing.
Yeah.
And they're like talking about like getting past this like toad boss or something in the castle. Like none of this is like what they're talking about is just like the disconnect between what you know the video game is about and what they're actually saying, because this was like at a time where only kids played video games still.
Yeah.
Like this was the early 90s, 92, 93. The only people that played video games were white kids between the ages of like 8 to probably about 13. And in that demographic, they were only white males. Girls never didn't play video games, neither did parents. Like nobody understood sort of thing, so they could just make up random bullshit. The writers probably didn't even know what the video games were about, honestly. They just put a bunch of bullshit in there. But the best thing about that is the music's playing, and then when he dies, there's just like this Wilhelm scream going like, ah, or whatever. It's like, that doesn't happen. Such a weird thing.
It's so weird when like television or movies just do video games, but like no basic effort, like no basic shits were given.
Well, they put more effort into like making up what's actually going on screen, like grabbing the music file and then like splicing in this weird like death sound and scream, then just like if it was the Mario music and they ran off the level at the time where they were supposed to make the actual sound and then recorded it. Like, they went
Yeah,
to more effort than needed.
it's so weird. I don't
Yeah.
get stuff like that.
I don't either.
It's
It's
not
really
only
dumb.
video games that that kind of thing happens with.
It's mostly video games that happens with, though. People didn't understand. It wasn't until like 96 and up when like the internet started really being a thing that people realized more than only like 11-year-old white boys were playing video games.
I just mean like stuff of people not doing like a modicum of research to get something accurate.
Oh, yeah, no, that happens with everything though.
Yeah, my one of my favorites is when, or like that something that just drove me nuts is it was in a Batman comic book where like Batman brings up something about like he brings up the Trojan horse and says you should read the Iliad. It's like that's not in the Iliad, you
Yeah.
asshole. You should read the Iliad. You fuck. God damn it. Oh, that
Fucking
made me so mad.
alien.
Batman hasn't read the Iliad apparently, according to that comic, because I got it wrong.
That's really poor.
It was
That's
a
really
terrible
bad.
issue. It was a bad issue. It's a bad comic book. I was really mad when I read it.
That was a bad issue, just like this podcast that I think we're done.
Oh,
That was pretty good, I
it
thought.
was okay.
Yeah, it was fine.
Covered it. We covered the stuff.
A lot of Metal Gear talk.
A lot of
A
Metal Gear
lot
talk.
of Metal Gear talk. But I think that's it. I think that
Yep.
does it. So we'll try to be more regular. I'll try to be more regular. And see people next time.
See ya.
Bye.